The multiverse is vast, and in the multiverse there are different versions of your favorite superheroes, and on Earth 2, they need help. When we last left off, Apocalypse had started its third invasion of Earth 2. It started with the Fire Pits launching the four Furies of Apocalypse onto the planet, and the end of times began. Our heroes all needed to divide their efforts to stop each of the Furies. Batman, Val-Zod, Huntress, Lois Lane, and Kara Zor-El all decided to climb into the Fire Pits to find the source of them and turn them off finally. But once they got inside, Helena was kidnapped by Darkseid, and they found the injured body of Clark Kent. Green Lantern went to Brazil to stop another Fury, but the Parliament of Earth told him to work with the other Avatars to stop this. So he took Grundy with him and began a search for the other Avatars. Dr. Fate, Hawkgirl, and Flash all started a battle against another Fury called Famine, and using Fate's power, he managed to suck the power of Famine into himself. While this did defeat Famine, it turned Fate into Famine. Before he could figure out a better plan, the Helmet of Naboo felt a mate, and Dr. Fate left Hawkgirl and Flash to begin to seek it out. Far beneath the oceans, Aqua Woman was pleading with Atlantis' greatest weapon to come to her aid, as most of Atlantis had been killed by the Furies, and she had lost her kingdom to this. Through her pleading, a great beast was awakening. Back in the Fire Pits, Lois Lane was trying to figure out how Clark Kent was alive. What did Darkseid do? But the rest of the group walks deeper into the chamber to discover they were cloning the Man of Steel. That's another clone, and there are a lot of Superman clones in the next room. Helena wakes up bound by Darkseid, and he tells her that he has a gift for her. She tells him that Waynes don't break, and he tells her not to worry. She won't be a Wayne for much longer. Tears begin to well up in her eyes as she looks around, seeing corpses torn in two and wires hanging out of them. Green Lantern and Grundy are in a route to the location of the first Avatar, the Avatar of White, and Alan Scott is in shock when it leads him to the chateau of his lover Sam. Meanwhile, in a Chicago refugee camp, Dick and Barbara Grayson are trying to fend off the scavengers trying to get to the rations, when someone steps up introducing himself as Ted Grant. Over at the World Army's base on Amazonia, everyone begins to feel hungry and faint as the power of famine flies overhead. Mr. Miracle realizes that their base has just been discovered, and he holds up his mother box to declare war on Apocalypse. But then the mother box teleports itself into the hands of Jimmy Olsen, the tech genius. And at that moment, Dr. Fate lands in front of both Jimmy and the mother box. With the powers of famine killing everyone around him, Fate tells Jimmy, this is going to hurt. Down in the Fire Pits, Lois and Kara decide to try and find the real Clark Kent, but Thomas Wayne, the current Batman, tells him that he's going to go find Helena. He's not gonna go look for the shadow of a man. He needs to find his granddaughter. Then the clones begin breaking out of their tubes. Thomas begins chugging his strength-enhancing drug, and he tells Val-Zod to back off, showing him kryptonite. And then Kara gets mad at him for even having kryptonite, and in response to Thomas's drug-addled anger, Val-Zod melts the rest of his drugs. Back at the Green Lantern, Alan Scott walks into the chateau and he finds a note and a ring from Sam. Sam was going to propose to him the day that the train crashed, and he died. But that's when Alan gets a surprise as Sam appears before him as the Avatar of White. But Sam explains that he is no longer Sam, he is only the Avatar. Alan doesn't want to accept this, and Grundy laughs at Alan's misfortune until Sam slams him into a wall to teach him a lesson. Alan insists that they have a second chance, but Sam tells him that they only have one purpose now: save this planet, and they need to find the blue so that they can do it. Over at the World Army's base, Dr. Fate leans in, tapping his helmet against the mother box, and there is a massive expulsion of power, and then it seems to go into Jimmy Olsen. The scientist on site decides that the Helmet of Naboo must be another form of the mother box, and that it just procreated with another mother box. Jimmy is being transformed. All the way back in London, John Constantine has fallen into the multiverse and somehow ended up on Earth 2. Realizing the end of days has arrived, he throws his hand onto the ground to teleport to the old Arkham base, because he's going to need some friends. Back with the World Army, they've loaded up onto a spaceship intending to meet Apocalypse halfway to its destination of Earth, when they suddenly lose the planet from their radars, only to have it boom tube onto the moon, shattering it. They thought that they had close to a month until Apocalypse arrived, but now they have mere hours. Pieces of the moon begin to fall to the planet's surface, and realizing that he is the only one that could stop them, the Green Lantern takes off into space to block what he can, telling Sam and Grundy to find the Avatar Blue. Meanwhile, Jimmy has become something totally new, and no one knows what he's becoming. But at least the famine powers are gone, vanished from this world. As Khalid, the wielder of the Helmet of Fate, comes to his senses, he tells Jimmy that he left Hawkgirl and Flash in trouble. Much of the World Army begins to recover from their starvation, but over their heads they begin to see the meteors from the moon come crashing down towards them. They realize realize it's about to get even worse. It doesn't help that around the world the powers of the Furies are striking the human population, giving them the rage of war, the horror of pestilence, and the curse of the waking dead. In Chicago, they are feeling these effects as Dick and Barbara Grayson are fighting for their lives and their son Johnny's life with the help of Ted Grant. It's almost as if the people have lost their minds, and then Ted Grant looks up to see the meteors and realizes that this is now a party. And while all of this is happening, Constantine is breaking people out of Arkham, people that have been forgotten there. Brainwave, Obsidian, Johnny Thunder, and Jeremy Carr. Jeremy tells Constantine that he isn't helping because Obsidian is the wrong color. So Constantine takes out his gun and he tells Obsidian, "I'm sorry, mate." And then he shoots Jeremy dead. "Sorry, I got some of Jeremy's blood on your coat." The Avatar of White and the Avatar of Gray begin making their way to the Avatar of Blue, when out of nowhere the Furies arrive and they begin slicing up Grundy, and then they start beating down Sam. Sam tries to call out to the Green Lantern, but Alan is busy blocking various meteors. During all of this, the World Army is standing on their ship on Apocalypse, and Batman, Lois, Val, and Kara all discover Apocalypse's trophy from their first fight with the real Superman. They took his family crest. Lois sheds a tear and she pulls it away from the trophy case, putting it inside of one of her storage containers for later use. Back with Hawkgirl and Flash, they have recovered from the famine that was on them, but then they discover that the people around them are being torn apart by rage, and they begin yelling at Hawkgirl and Flash, "Kill, kill, kill!" Flash thinks that he might have it under control until Hawkgirl swoops in shouting, "Kill, kill, kill!" Flash begins to think, uh-oh, everyone's against me. Up in the air with the Avatar of White almost dead, the Green Lantern comes in and begins bombarding the Furies with his power of the Earth. And as they hit the ground, Grundy starts to bind them there because cutting him into pieces really doesn't stop him when he's already dead. And over at Atlantis, their secret weapon finally raises and it becomes the Avatar of the Blue, a weapon so destructive that the Parliament is unsure if it will save or destroy the planet. John Constantine brings his new team to the Chicago refuge, just in time to see everyone trying to escape. A meteor hit Lake Michigan and a tidal wave is coming to the city of Chicago, so everyone is trying to escape by train. He looks on as a redheaded woman is trying to fight with the thugs trying to gain control of the train, and then his team asks if they should intervene, but he decides to see how it's gonna play out. Everyone is panicking, but Barbara decides that no one will stop Barbara from getting her son out of this doomed city. She sucker punches one of the guys, and as he falls, he shoots Barbara in the stomach. Dick screams out, "No!" And their son cries out, "Mommy!" John from the hill silently says to himself, "Aw, damn it, John," as Dick is holding his wife in his arms, dead. Meanwhile, back at the fire pit, the device that was telling everyone that Helena was still alive has shut down. And Kara is furious. She will not lose her sister. She begins barreling through the building, crushing robots and stomping in their heads until Lois calls out to her, because she found something that looks like Superman, but not another clone of Superman, the actual Clark Kent. Using her powers as Red Tornado, she shatters the glass and she floats down there, and Clark struggles to get out the words, "Lois?" Lois helps him up. "It's you, Clark! Oh God, it's you!" Over with Flash and Hawkgirl. He can't get very far from Hawkgirl. He spent all of his time looking for his mother and he finally found her, but now Hawkgirl wants to kill him. That's when his mother tries to talk Kendra down, but the Flash has to deflect Kendra from harming his own mother. That's when Dr. Fate and Jimmy Olsen arrive, and Dr. Fate turns all of the rage into a thunderstorm so that it can fizzle out, clearing the minds of everyone, Hawkgirl included. Back in Apocalypse, the World Army, Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, and Fury all charge in, ready to attack the planet itself, and a giant multi-eyed purple head named Paternus. Paternus informs Mr. Miracle that he is nothing more than a pawn, a son of two fathers, because Darkseid isn't his real father. They then hit Paternus hard and remove the key that is in his forehead, infuriating him, so he breaks his whole body out of the middle of the planet. While Fury and Big Barda continue to beat on him, Mr. Miracle takes the key and he leaves for a hole to the center of the planet. Back down in the fire pits, a window behind all of them shatters, and there stands Helena, but she's changed and very different. She has wings, a whip, and reverse-jointed legs. Batman asks, "Helena?" And she sneers, "Not anymore!" Then Kara jumps in to fight her former sister, while Val, Zod, and Lois get Batman and Superman out of the room. Over at Chicago's refugee camp, Dick Grayson stands up and he walks the body of Barbara and his son to the train, informing the men who killed her that he will be leaving this place with the both of them. A man pulls a gun on Dick Grayson, telling him, "No dead bodies are rotting today." And then the man suddenly can't help himself as he puts the gun to his own forehead and pulls the trigger. John Constantine walks over, introducing himself and telling everyone that that was him. He then gets his friends to help beat down all of the gang members that started this. John then helps get Dick's son onto the train, and Dick tells his son, "Go! I'll find you again, son!" He then falls to his knees as the train leaves in tears with Barbara's body next to him. Back on Apocalypse, Mr. Miracle's tunnel takes him down to the center of the planet, where he finally finds Darkseid himself. Darkseid doesn't even move or respond to Mr. Miracle's appearance, so he declares that he will find a way to stop Darkseid. Darkseid smiles. The rest of the world's army sees Mr. Miracle coming back up the tunnel, and he informs them that Darkseid is down there. So they give him a weapon that Mr. Terrific created using the technology of the boom tubes, the boom spheres. He brings it back down into the tunnel, and he surrounds Darkseid and his shields with the boom spheres. And then he declares that he is bringing Darkseid death before setting them off. Darkseid floats there smiling. "No, my son, you have given me my freedom." That brings us to the end of part 2 of Earth 2 World's End. Now, I do want to clarify something. A lot of you commented that I said John Constantine wrong last time. Well, the fact is, that's actually how you pronounce his name. John Constantine was popularized by the American media. There's actually an old issue of Hellblazer where John Constantine actually states that that is the proper pronunciation for his name, and everyone mispronounces it as Constantine. But since everyone seems to prefer Constantine here in America, we'll move forward using that pronunciation from this point forward. If you want to discuss the different pronunciations for John Constantine or John Constantine, follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian or Instagram at Comicstorian. And next time, let's see everyone beat Darkseid down.